For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. We're going to be talking TV once again today. You know, it's sweeps time, right? This is ratings for the big networks. But of course, thanks to streaming services now, I mean, ratings is sort of irrelevant. It's almost moot. And it's grim. The numbers are grim. When you look at the shows that used to be, just a few years ago, big time. So shows like The Bachelor. I mean, there's always theories about why ratings are sucking every year for The Bachelor now, season over season. It's like, well, we hear so many things. It's exhaustion because they go from one season right into the next. Or we hear because there's a black bachelorette that all of a sudden people don't want to watch that. Or that it's all manufactured so people realize that it's a fake and it's a put-on kind of. I mean, who knows, right? Like I said, there's so many different ideas and theories that people have. Bottom line is that people are tuning out of network television in droves, and it's happening month over month, year over year. So, having said that, we're going to talk about the Olympics on NBC, which they pay billions of dollars for the broadcast rights, and there's lots of scrutiny. There's lots of TV critics that kind of sit there and go, you know, your numbers are down. You know, like granted, you have streaming opportunities and like 24/7 coverage, but are people watching it, though? And why is that? Why are they not, right? When you think about the Olympics, I mean, you put that almost on the same level as Super Bowl, that was must-see TV. There's no way you can miss the gold medal game or the you know, the final football game, whatever it is. And people just are, they're just very much into themselves, I think, nowadays. So I have more thoughts about the Olympics. That's coming up in our first segment. And then Richard Blais, if you watch Next Level Chef on Fox, it's this like 3-tiered sort of competition where there's like the best kitchen on top, the mediocre kitchen in the middle, and then a really shitty kitchen on the bottom. And Richard Blais, you know, he was Top Chef, whatever. You know, you've known him from all these different TV shows, cooking shows. And he's going to be joining me a little bit later to talk about the competition, because I always enjoy speaking with somebody like an athlete or a chef who, or a music artist that I can't relate to, because I don't do that craft. I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with it, but I'm not well versed in, like, I don't do it myself. And so when it comes to a chef, I always kind of like getting the inside scoop on like what goes down in a kitchen and the ingredients, and because I feel that as a TV chef, you kind of have to have you have to like every kind of food, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I don't like seafood. Well, no, if you're going to be a judge on the show, you have to at least eat seafood and give your opinion. I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm an outspoken dick, so I'd just be like, nah, hey, I'm not even trying it. You know that I don't like seafood? I'm not eating it. That's why I would. Could you imagine having somebody who has like the most picky food taste? Like, you know, like that kid. I was that kid that I only ever ate French fries at McDonald's or any of the restaurants we went to. Could you imagine casting me as the judge on a food show? Like, I just think that would be hilarious. I would watch that, even if it was me. I would watch myself giving food critiques, even though I know nothing about cooking. So anyway, let's move along. Richard Blais is coming up a little bit later in the show, and my thoughts on the Olympics are coming up right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble. The Olympics are coming to an end. Actually, let me start that sentence again. Did you know the Olympics are coming to an end, everybody? Maybe you've been watching in your country on the network that overpaid grossly for the broadcast rights to the Olympic Games, and I've got an opinion on the Olympics. Let me start out though by saying I am not downplaying or discrediting the caliber of athletes. Right? They've trained very hard to get where they are. I salute them. They're absolutely performing feats of strength and competition that I would never be able to. Let me point that out right away. So if anybody sound bites this or tries, not that I'm going to end up on TMZ, I realize that, but what I'm saying is I'm not downplaying their talents and their abilities. So let me say it this way now, is that we are living in such a self-centered society that I don't think that most people give a flying fig about the athletes competing in the games for their country. That could have been a different story maybe 20, 30 years ago when there was really nothing else you could do. You didn't have that fascination with social media and seeing what other people are doing everywhere in the world, unless you turned on the television, right? And so I think that there was a bit of national pride there. Now, let's fast forward to today where countries, let's be frank, are quite divided when it comes to, coronavirus and politics and all these things. So I don't know that a country does come together anymore, with the exception of perhaps the Super Bowl. But even then, there's, are they kneeling? Are they this? It's like, okay. So when the Olympics rolls around and everybody's having to make excuses as to why the ratings are down for NBC and blah, 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 oh, well, it's because it's in China. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's the time difference. Oh, it's what, or, and this, I could be way out of line here, or it's that people don't give a fuck. And that's okay, right? Just as years ago, people waited for Oscar night. I remember, as a kid, turning on the TV at, 7 a.m, getting ready for school and being like, what's this big thing? Why is everybody dressed up? Oh, it's the Oscar nominations. It was hyped up. It was, oh, can't wait. Oh, tomorrow the Oscar noms. Now, I'm an entertainment reporter. That's actually my job. Even I don't even care when they're announcing them. It was just announced, not too long ago. And I was kind of like, whatever. I mean, it's the Oscars that, people aren't going to watch and whatever, so no big deal. So when it comes to the Olympics, they're going to say, well, we just had the Summer Games, last year because of the delay and blah, blah, blah. I just think that people don't care. And I saw a lot of arguments that, well, there's really no sort of A-list celebrity athlete that's competing for a lot of countries, meaning that there's no, like Michael Phelps, it's a bunch of unknowns, it's a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of no-names, which, again, with all due respect, these people are really good. Now, I also sort of take issue when the claim is made that these people are the best in the world, that, you win gold so that you're the best in the world. I don't know. You're the best in the countries and the athletes that competed in that particular event, yes. But I mean, there's probably people who are very, very good at, insert sport here, right? Whether it's the summer game, whether it's basketball or whether it's skiing or skating, maybe people just don't want to be in the Olympics, right? And they could be very, very good at what they do. So I also take issue with that claim, saying that, well, you're the best in the world just because you want a gold medal. Well, quite frankly, not that's saying that you're better than every single other person who does it. Maybe people just do it as a hobby, right? Maybe people, and it also is changing from year to year, right? Because you have a figure skater like, I don't know, whoever, Elvis Stoico or whatever, and they might still be pretty damn good. Or they were at that time in their life, and at that, right? So it's hard to say that because I watched a special the other week talking about how athletes, when it comes to the swimmers, their swimsuits and their swim caps and all these other things have evolved over the years. So it's actually enhancing their performance. Their performance is enhanced based on what they're wearing or the gear they're using. So if that makes you a better swimmer because of what you're wearing, I kind of wonder about that then, right? I mean, these people who were just wearing a regular swimsuit or regular brief back in the day, right? That was all them doing it. Now, if you're being propelled by the aerodynamics of your your full body swimsuit, well, I feel that's a little bit different than the competition was 10 years ago. So what does the best mean, right? I mean, it's going to change as the generations go on or as technology evolves. So anyway, if you were watching the Olympics, which I know that a lot of you weren't because I did some very unscientific polls on Twitter and Facebook, but, tell me what your thoughts of the Olympics. Now, again, as I'm scrolling here, I see people complaining about the time zone difference and how I recorded something at 6 in the morning and I wanted to watch it and it's not on and blah, blah. You know what? Things happen, though, when it comes to the broadcast schedule. I get that. I've been in radio for many years. But I want to know your thoughts. Live at jbonair.com, because I mean, even just when I think back, and I've never been a sports person, but I know that I would always tune into the Olympics because that's what was on the TVs at home. You know, my parents were watching TV in the living room. My brothers had a TV in the basement, and it was kind of, you know, my brothers were hockey players, so they were tuned into that. My parents liked curling, so they were tuned into that. And the Olympics was something that you just kind of just left on the TV. So if the curling was done, then whatever they were showing next. So maybe it's figure skating, maybe it's bobsleigh, you know, who knows. And so we watched them, and that was how we learned the athletes' names. They became a household name in our family a lot of the times, and we celebrated them. We didn't know a damn thing about them until we watched them compete probably that day. But still, we had a sense of national pride when we saw them competing. And so I don't know, fast forward now 30-some years, if people still feel that way. My parents still have their events that they watch, right? My parents will still watch for the curling and they'll still watch for the hockey. But, you know, that's kind of the extent of it. And again, people watch TV in different ways now. They're not watching it when it's on, when it's live, and because of the time zones, it's, you know, it's airing in the morning and then you're having to record it and watch it later. And it, you know, does the Olympics gold medal really have as much clout to the everyday person as it used to? I don't believe it does. But anyway, again, my email address, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Next Level Chef is Fox's latest reality cooking show, and one of the stars, Richard Blais. You've heard every play on his name on this show, by the way, and you recognize him from Top Chef and a bunch of other foodie programming. Joining us on the line to talk about the competition that's in full swing. Hey, Richard.
Hey, what's going on? And I apologize for all of the Blais puns, because I think I'm guilty of at least saying Trailblazers, 100 times or so. So I apologize in advance for all of that for the audience.
Every time I think I've heard them all, or there's not going to be another one, you guys, you pull a fast one on me. That's the thing.
Oh, there it is. Now listen, a lot of other people are coming up with the puns as well, but I apologize for the trailblazing one.
Well, yeah, I'm fascinated by this show because it really tests the chefs, and I mean, in some of the cases, they're people just cooking at home or for a social media audience. It's brought together foodies at all different levels, competing in different kitchens, each with different amenities of these kitchens, and it's sort of, I mean, it's like a giant dollhouse or a building with a wall blown out. Have I summed up it correctly? I mean, it's kind of...
Yes, I mean, I love, first of all, I have a separate sort of dream to, like, create dollhouse kitchen appliances, so yes. I do think that the dollhouse analogy here is perfect for it. It's very Wes Anderson too. It reminds me of, and the set itself is just spectacular. And like you said, the fact that there's that our chefs are coming from all different sort of professional moments really makes the show unique, because the set becomes sort of it's a commonality that cannot be conquered just because you're a professional chef or a social media chef or a home cook.
And when we talk about Next Level Chef, I mean it's physical, like it's literal, because the top kitchen is sort of it's like the penthouse suite, and then the bottom is kind of like a dungeon. So there's different challenges depending on where the chefs are.
Yeah, someone on Twitter said the bottom is the Blaisement. So I'll just keep the theme running with the bad
Oh, dear.
But yeah, the structure itself. I mean, when we finally got the set and you see it and you look up on it, and odd fact of the day, it's the tallest non-permanent structure in Las Vegas where we shot. It's one of the many things that make the show really, really unique, because you have these 3 different kitchens, and even when you're watching it, the lighting is so spectacular when you're in that set and you're in the basement, and the lights are dim, and you're handcuffed to an old sink, and Gordon Ramsay's yelling at you, and you get up to that penthouse like you mentioned. So the set itself is just spectacular.
But I would almost prefer being on the bottom level, because it seems like anybody could come up with a really, really good dish when you've got every single, ingredient and amenity known to man. Like, I would take pride in going, hey, look what I just made in the basement. Like, that would be more fun for me. Then again, I'm not a cook, so I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree and disagree here. Like, the basement for me is great as a competitor, because I'm filled with anxiety. So I think if I was competing and I was in the basement, I wouldn't be worried about, I was like, oh, I'm in the basement. So under promise and over deliver, which is what can happen in the basement. That being said, and this is just for me watching the show now, because I don't get to see it until it comes out, just like everyone else. The basement really is a rough place, because they only have one burner, and they really do have equipment that's just been battered and left out at a garage sale or whatever it is. And they are at a massive disadvantage down there, even just the power of the stoves, etc. So, yes, I'd like to be in the basement, and we could be down there, you and I, cooking great food, but it's certainly an advantage to be up in the penthouse.
I don't cook. You'll be cooking, I'll be eating. Deal?
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough, absolutely.
But that's the thing. I mean, when I watch them complaining about the bottom kitchen, I then look around my own house and go, God, I feel like I'm living in poverty then. Like, these people hate all of this stuff. So it's not like they're given a camping stove and told to make something. I mean, they don't have it that bad.
This is true, and I will say, like, I kind of love the aesthetic of the basement. Like, I love the lighting down there, and it's rustic. So I like being down there for sure.
Obviously, you've been a professional chef for quite some time. Did you learn anything, though, from your team or any of the other contestants? Because whenever, when I chat with the Hell's Kitchen finalists, they can list off everything that Gordon taught them. But was there a role reversal at all? Were you taught anything by the teammates?
Yeah, I mean, always. I think that's the joy of just my craft and being a cook or a chef, is that, I always tell, when I am mentoring in my real world, that, like, we get the opportunity to learn something new every single day, whether I'm on set or not. So, a unique part of this show is being in the kitchen. We don't see too many reality cooking shows where, the mentors, judges, whoever it is, are actually in the kitchen. So you do get to learn a new flavor, or, we had a chef who made wajapi, which is, a barbecue sauce, a Native American barbecue sauce. I had never heard of that before, right? And every day we're learning something, from the competitors, because we're there, even if it's not food related, just if it's, wow, their intensity or their spirit or their drive or their story sort of inspires you. So yeah, I've learned a ton from the competitors, and as well, of course, my colleagues, Naisha Arrington and Gordon Ramsay, have taught me a lot in and out of the kitchen. And, Naisha just goes from, super intense to incredibly empathetic, like on a light switch, which is a skill in and of itself. And, Gordon, he's just as intense behind the scenes, involved with the production as he is, as a chef in the kitchen. So I've learned a lot.
Between the three of you, I mean, there's competition, and it's bragging rights, though, really, because we hear you guys say that your reputation is on the line, right? If one of your contestants screws up, so what's it like between the three of you?
I think it is that. I think it's a friendly competition. We all certainly would like to be the person who mentors the next level. Was the person who first picked the next level chef, and I think chefs just naturally, like athletes, are just born to be a little bit competitive. That being said, when it comes to, judging the food, and this is something I've seen in the Twitterverse, et cetera, is like, we're just looking for the best food. Like, it does not matter to Gordon or Naisha or myself when we're judging something. We're not taking into consideration that person's on my team. Of course, we'd like that person to be on our team in the blind tastings, but we just want to find who's the best chef.
When you're judging the dishes, though, I mean, it almost seems like a chef or a judge on a show like this, it almost seems like you need to like every ingredient, every possible food that they put in front of you, because I feel like that would sort of taint my opinion if I'm giving feedback on a dish. So are there any, be real with us, are there any foods or ingredients you just hate? Don't put them in the dish. I hate them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to be an easy one, and you're going to tell me that I'm sort of punting this question, but I've been on a couple of shows where we've had to do like an insect, challenge, like ant eggs in an omelet or whatever it is, which is, again, prized in a lot of cultures. To me, I just have trouble wrapping my head around, ground up crickets or whatever it is. So one, when it comes to like some of those crazier challenges in food television for me. But also, it's going to sound again like a punt, but I love pretty much everything, and I go through different modes where I'm obsessed with different types of cuisine. I'm not a fan of like raw green peppers, but I'm not mad at them when they show up on my plate. So it's easy for me. Some people who might have some different aversions, I'm sure it is more challenging.
Wow, punting the question. Do you want to give us your political website? Where are you fundraising for your campaign? Jeez. And then one of the other great things about the show is that the cook-off at the end of each episode, and you don't know whose dish you are testing. It could be your own contestant. But here's the thing. I feel like I've been a writer and an editor for years. So when I was working with freelance writers, I could always tell, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. As a chef, though, you must know, okay, well, that's the one for my team, like, because that's how this person plates it or creates something. Like, did you have a hunch?
I would say that if the show was so much longer, it's still only a number of episodes, so not every chef has a very, very clear sort of sense of authorship, so you can kind of make a guess. But at the same time, if you're thinking, oh, well, this chef likes to use these ingredients, maybe this is their dish, someone else could be trying to sort of, make it seem that way, right? So there is, I guess, some strategy involved with it. I don't think that was ever the case in those blind tastings. And again, even if it is, we are bound, Gordon and Aisha, and myself, to, pick the best dish, regardless of whose dish we even might think it is.
I gotta go for a scandal here. Were there like any eyebrow lifts or anything at your team when you're looking at them going, give me a signal, come on, just fess up. Is there anything? No,
there wasn't, and honestly, I try to, if you're the person up there, one, the contestants know that there's no tipping the hand, so to speak. And even when I'm up there tasting, I would try to keep my eye line, mostly on the plate or with my other judges during those moments. Just to not get some sort of indication as to, even maybe one of the other competitors who wasn't competing, raising an eyebrow or something like that. So challenging for sure, but ways to go around it so that you're making the right choice and not factoring in whose dish you think it might be.
We're almost down to the wire, right? We're coming up to the semifinals, and then it's down to the final three. Without any major spoilers, though, feel free. What can we expect in the home stretch of the competition?
I think what you can expect is just, if you've been watching the show, the food continues to get better and better, which you would expect as the chefs, learn how to navigate the different levels of the kitchen. And I think what you can expect is also, the fact that, each episode and in each new challenge presents something that's really brand new to the show that hasn't been done before. Of course, we're in season 1. But I think there's just lots of twists ahead. It's going to continue to get more difficult for the chefs, and you're going to continue to see, I think, better and better food as it goes on.
Well, we're going to be watching, as bad as it makes us feel about our own kitchen supplies and cooking abilities. And when can we catch the show?
The show Next Level Chef on Fox is on Wednesdays at 9, 8, and of course you can stream it wherever you can find it. I know that it's on Hulu as well.
Absolutely. Richard Blais from Next Level Chef on Fox. Thanks so much for joining us. Great chatting with you.
I appreciate you.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap.
SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here, back on the Scribble, just looking at the calendar that it is sweeps time, so that's TV ratings, and sort of tying into the Olympics, what I was just saying about ratings and people not watching shows anymore and not having that allegiance to them as they once did. American Idol is celebrating its 20th season in just a couple of days, and well, coincidentally, we just talked about Next Level Chef, which was on Fox. So now look at that. Our previous two segments are now tied into this one. I just did that off the top of my head. That's called a good broadcaster, everybody. And so with Idol kicking off its 20th season on ABC, though, I mean, just think about how your TV viewing habits have changed, right? Because you probably watched Idol live back then. You likely did not have a recorder that you could then you had a VCR, sure, but not one of the digital ones where you could, you know, catch it whenever. You were able to record one show at a time, and you, I mean, the anticipation for Idol viewing was that you were watching it as it was happening, right? Now, there was no Twitter and anything like that 20 years ago, so you certainly weren't, you know, interacting with people, but I remember being on the phone and calling back and forth to, you know, friends or texting or whatever it might be, you know, about what was happening on the show. And that was, it would definitely water cooler talk for the next day when you went to work or school or whatever it was, right? I mean, you talked about the performances. I was, a couple years into the show, I was on the radio, so we had, this is before blogging and things, but I would post a recap of like my thoughts on the different performances that night, and then our listeners would email in and we'd discuss, and we'd even play clips of them and things like that, of the performances. So now, it just came up on my screen here looking at the list of American Idol winners. I haven't heard of the last 14 of them. I have never heard their names before. And I'm in radio. I'm in entertainment reporting. I'm a broadcaster. Maybe I heard their names back then when they won the show, but I look at them now and go, the name doesn't even look familiar to me. The face doesn't even look familiar to me. Like I don't, you know, you can name the Kelly Clarkson, the Carrie Underwood, the Ruben Studdard, the, you know, whatever. But I mean, anything sort of beyond that, I mean, no. Even the ones that did win. What happens now, though, is you kind of sit there and go, wait a second, did Fantasia Barrino win, or was she just one of the finalists who, you know, did Jennifer Hudson win, or did she just become, you know, really, really big after the show? I mean, that's where those... that's where the shows kind of take you after so many years and so many seasons and so many knockoffs of the same show, right? And, you know, I look behind me on the wall here in the studio, we have all of my pictures and press badges from red carpets and things like that. I mean, there's a picture of me with a guy that won The Voice. Do I remember his name? I've got, you know, we've got our arms around each other posing on the red carpet. I can't remember his name for the life of me. I have no idea what his name is. And same thing with America's Got Talent. I'm like, oh, here I am with a group of kids. They did some sort of like acrobat routine. I don't remember their names. You know, and I met them. I talked with them. This just wasn't something that I watched on television from thousands of miles away. I actually, I shook their hands. I introduced them on the radio. But yeah, right. It's just such a fleeting moment nowadays when it comes to what we see on TV. I had a discussion the other day. What do we have? 2-3 minutes about? Had a discussion on Twitter with somebody back and forth about watching The Conners. And when you think about the old show, Roseanne, there were so many moments that I still remember all these years later. Whether I watched the show over and over and over again, that's beside the point. But the fact was that it was so enjoyable that I did want to watch it over and over again. I've watched every episode of The Conners since the show has come back, since it, sort of rebranded after firing Roseanne. And I've seen every episode. I could maybe give you some of the plot lines. Okay, well, one of the kids has, taking energy pills or something, and then Becky got knocked up by a foreigner who got deported, and Dan is going to get married to Peggy Bundy from Married with Children. So I can, but there's not a moment, there's not like a single line that I remember. But Roseanne or shows like Full House, right? Cut it out. All those kinds of things, they have a place in history. But the shows nowadays, it's kind of like there's no catchphrase. There's nothing really that I'm remembering, or there's no takeaway. I enjoy sometimes watching the Connors. I feel they're kind of getting on the soapbox of they've got to have some sort of after-school special, every episode. It seems like they're going for a moment, a serious moment, a life issue moment. And it seems very preachy all the time. Roseanne was more just kind of lighthearted, and they dealt with things in a very funny way. These are very intense conversations and confrontations that the cast is having with each other. The characters are having with each other. So anyway, just my thought. There we go. Look at that. Ranting all about television and sports today. Once again, the email address, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. And let's do a quick Twitter shout-out, everybody.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
Almost getting like a head rush or a headache. I've just been talking and talking and talking, and that's what happens when you do radio. When we tape our entertainment headlines show, it's basically 3 minutes of me just ripping through celebrity headlines, and then by the time I'm done and I hit, stop when we're done recording, I almost feel lightheaded because it's like, wow, I really didn't take a breath for that. Anyway, but I am taking a breath now. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter @thescribbleshow. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,